Tjena snygging.
Hey. Hello.
Hello, I'm Jacob.
And I'm Sophia.
And you probably know me or us through skiing content on this channel. But this time, things will be different for a couple weeks. As you may have seen in the past, we've been living in a van, cruising around, doing some skiing and surfing and that kind of stuff, until the van broke down. And that's that old rusty thing over there.
And now we have a new one.
This beautiful thing right here. So the next couple episodes, we're going to take you on a journey from start to finish building a camper van. And we're no professionals, and if you are like the kind of person that likes doing things the right way with the proper tools and in the right order, you should probably not even watch this thing. But we're happy to bring you along with us. So last time I built a van, we made every mistake in the book basically. So it was actually kind of a blessing in disguise that it finally broke down. So we get to start over from scratch. For this episode series, we're partnering up with Dometic, who's going to hook us up with a bunch of really cool devices for the van. So we're super excited about showing you everything.
Yeah.
Got about a month to finish this project. Let's get this thing going.
Yeah. Boom.
So you've done some planning for this project, I
I
see.
love planning. Planning is my life.
What's your tips and tricks for getting a project like this as good as possible?
In life in general, just plan everything. No, just kidding. We decided to make like a 3D model of the car, just to see how big can the kitchen be without the bed being too small, and vice versa. So I tried SketchUp, which is a free software, and it works. It's not the best program, but it works for this, I think. So this is the car. We have a Peugeot Boxer. It's the L3 H2 model. So it's not the longest one because we sometimes live in Stockholm in an apartment, and parking in the city with the longer model of the car is just a nightmare. So, and this is our only car. We don't have a smaller car either. So this is like a compromise. We normally go up north a lot and not south, and that's why we don't really need a toilet inside. If we were a lot in Spain or in France, I've read that you kind of need like a bathroom toilet in the car, but we don't. So
we take shits in nature.
in the nature, we want to be able to stand up in the car, because sometimes we spend like 2 or 3 days just waiting out the weather, and not having enough room to stand up is just a nightmare. So this is the model we ended up getting, and the Peugeot, Fiat and Citroën are like the boxiest versions. They're very square. Our old car, a Renault Master, it was more like this. It's more like this. So knowing that, this is how we are planning to do things. Okay, so this is the entrance. And this is obviously the kitchen. There is the fridge, overhead storage all the way. Okay, so this is like how we are imagining how the car is going to turn out. I think there are going to be changes, but at least this is something like we can work from.
It's inspiration.
It's inspiration.
And it's also really helpful to have this kind of sketched up before you start building the car, so you can like understand each other when you're talking about a certain thing in the car, so you're not talking in circles.
Yes.
And we'll see if the end result will look anything like this.
To be continued.
Det är jag som pratar. All right, we're in the new van. It's basically completely empty. We just took the floor out and we sort of cleaned it to an acceptable degree. And we've just been fixing some holes and painting it with some anti-rust coat wherever there's some holes from old screws and stuff. And we're about to insulate the floor we're using basically the cheapest possible insulation material, which is these sleeping mats from Biltema. And we're gonna put those down on the floor with some spray adhesive, And then on top of that, we're gonna put the old floor back. So yeah, excited to finally start doing it. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about the layout here. Since this car is a little bit wider than our last van, we're gonna sleep sideways. So the bed's gonna be back here, about 140 cm wide, and it's just wide enough or long enough for me to sleep fully extended. We'll see when the walls come in a little bit. Of course, it's gonna be a little narrower, but that should work. Seating area here, little bench, drying cabinet, kitchen area. So we got kitchen area going all the way out here, sink. That's about it. And then of course some storage compartments running along the ceiling and up here. Endless possibilities. So can't wait to see how this turns out. What are you doing?
Preparing for the spray lim.
So, as you can see, this is not an exact science, and this floor is uneven as hell. But most important part is that all the metal is covered to insulate and protect from condensation buildup. And then, as soon as the old floor gets put on top of this, it should be nice and even.
Done-ish on the floor.
It's kind of cozy like this. Should we keep it?
Nice. So it's not perfect. It's not supposed to be perfect.
Do some people like it more perfect?
Not us. And we're just gonna put the old floor back so we can work.
Old floor.
And not destroy this one.
Yeah. Electricity already?
Yeah. So we don't like these visible. We want them under the floor or behind the wall.
Last time when we built the floor in our van, we realized like after that, oh, we might want to put some electricity stuff on that side too, and not just on one side, and we didn't know what to do with the cables. So we had to tear up the floor and redo it. So this time we're thinking ahead, and we're gonna put like one big fuse terminal on that side with basically just some lamps, some 12-volt stuff, and then keep the battery bank on this side. And that way we don't have to redo everything. So.
Yeah. Woohoo! It's okay. Jag släpper.
Ja.
Perfect, like a glove.
Pretty much. We got a floor.
We got a floor. It's a floor.
Insulated, prepared for electricity.
Yep.
That's about it for today, I think.
Yeah.
iPad.
Right. Energy.
Yes, yes. So 3 different ways to get energy for all our appliances and charging and all that stuff, and that's mains power or shore power from the just the power that you use in a house, 230 or 220 volts. It's while you're driving, battery to battery charging through a charger that's connected to your generator, and there's solar power. So and we are going to use all 3 of them depending on the situation. So here's our solar panel, the 270 watts, and it's going up on the roof. It's a little dirty now because it's taken from our old car. So today we're mounting it.
It's up.
We're on the roof.
We're on the roof.
We're just trying to find a good location to drill the first holes in the metal. It's always pretty scary.
There it is. Hole in the roof.
So our last van, we just glued the panels, or the panel on the roof, because we have way bigger panel feet. But on this van, we don't really have any big even areas for the glue to take hold. So we're actually doing it like the proper safe way and mounting it with some bolts. So this is like rubber, basically. It's butyl tape. And I guess it just becomes like a little moisture protector, because when you make holes in the roof, you really don't want any water to start leaking in, because it'll be super hard to tell where it's coming from and a pain in the ass to fix. So we got a solar panel.
Solar.
And yeah, I'm not gonna win any awards for this installation here, but I figured we'd use some tape and then some construction glue, just to really be sure we're not getting any moisture in there. No one's gonna really look at it from the top anyways. And now we just made a hole here for the cables to pull those through into the car. And I think that's about it for today.
Boom! So what are we doing? We're doing the first big hole.
This is like really scary. So we gotta get the shore power connection for the car through the wall of the car, and there's not much like to play with here for these little holes. So we gotta make sure the hole for this compartment that goes through the wall here is perfectly the same size to fit this properly. And that takes a little bit of mental gymnastics to work out. So we're gonna make a little guide here with some cardboard and see if we can figure this out in a good way without completely destroying the van. First thing we do.
To be continued.
This is
Thing.
first major hole in the side of the van. We've measured a couple times, and now we're just gonna go for it. Think so?
Yeah.
I'll put a smaller one. So we made a small hole first. It's gonna be easier for the bigger drill. I'm gonna make a little bigger hole now and then a major one.
Made a guide, and then we added a few millimeters, because you really don't want to make the hole too small, because that's gonna suck.
So that's a little bit on the inside, right? Because we're gonna put a bigger drill bit after. It's gonna expand that hole.
Yeah.
And we don't want to go outside of this, because then it'll be way too big.
Yeah.
One hole.
So maybe 12 of those.
Yeah, a bunch of them.
So see you soon. Careful now.
River.
Oh. Try again.
So that's the hole, and I think it will fit. Okay.
Oh, it's a perfect fit.
Is it straight even? It is.
You can adjust.
Oh yeah, it's perfect. Nice. High five.
High five. There's always obviously a cover for this. Cover. Aha! So now a bit of paint, so we don't get rust. Let that dry. Have a beer, and then
Boom bam.
boom bam, we're done.
And just like that, we have shore power intake. So we can fill her up when we need to. Whenever we're parked by
Beautiful.
All right. let's talk ventilation. Inside a van, there's always a lot of need for good ventilation. We cook a lot of food, and getting an air conditioner installed is really expensive, and it sucks a lot of energy too. So we needed some good 12-volt solutions for it. So thanks to Dometic, that we partnered up with for this project, we got these awesome electrical 12-volt mushroom vents. Whoops! That we're gonna put in. They're actually super nice, and they're neat and small. They'll fit on the roof, and yeah, run on the 12-volt system. 2 settings. Let's get them mounted up. Time to cut some more holes in the van. So once again, everything has to be perfect. So cut out a little guide here in cardboard that I've measured 3 times, and marked out the spot where we want the vent to be. That's going to be the first one, and then the other one's going to be in the back. Time to drill. What?
Say what?
That is the roundest hole
Another hole!
ever drilled in metal. Okay, time to put the vents in place. We put the rear one in yesterday, and decided to wait with this one to make sure our technique is working. We did get a heavy rain last night and no leaks so far, so I'm pretty hopeful about this project. Since the roof is uneven, we got these ribs and channels we've built up with a layer of construction glue, let that dry, and then now just put another thick layer of this marine sealant. It's basically just made to withstand the elements, protect from water, even under the water line and boats and stuff. So this should keep any water out. So time to put this in place. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna go inside.
There's a downside of doing this in the spring. Look at the pollen situation right now. That is gross. I'll clean that up later.
Right, insulation to keep the heat in when it's cold out, and vice versa. When we are inside the van and it's warm in here and cold outside, the air we breathe and like the heat generates moisture, and the moisture turns into condensation and it gets stuck on the metal. And when it's stuck on the metal, it runs down and eventually it will rust, and we don't want that. So there's a couple of different things you need to think about. Like the insulation you use should have closed cells so it doesn't take in water. If you use, like for in houses, when you use wool for example, that can take in water, and then you need a moisture barrier, and we did that in our last car, and it's super tough to get the moisture barrier even and no holes in it. So this time around we're doing things differently. This is XPS, closed cells. It's, as you can see, it's not super easy to work with because it can't bend, it's super stiff. We're using this for like the bigger areas where the surface is flat. And for everything else, we bought Armaflex. It's expensive, but probably the best option. I think this is 19 millimeters. So we're gonna use XPS and Armaflex.
Explain what we're looking at here.
My nerdy brain in a Excel file. No, we're trying to there's so much to think about, and you don't even if you can do things in the wrong order, it's gonna be messy. So we're trying to figure out how many holes we need in the metal before we insulate, because if we're gonna insulate and then make hole, I mean it's gonna work, but I think it's better to do it the right way. So now we're thinking about if there are any more holes than the windows that we're gonna have to wait for, and the power intake, the shore power intake. Also we need air intake, and that's gonna be another hole. But I think we're gonna put it here, right? Because we want fresh air when we're sleeping.
That makes sense. So what did the delivery truck just bring?
All our electricity stuff from Dometic.
Nice.
Nice. So we're gonna have like the... What is this? This is
It
for
says
the...
on the box.
I'm just trying to remember. This is for the shore power to charge the batteries. This is for so we can have computers and working. This is the batteries. More of this soon. So exciting. And yeah,
we're psyched.
We're psyched. Thank you, Dometic.
So we're in the stage of putting up the XPS for the basic insulation, and we're gonna mount it to the walls using this expanding foam. And this is my first time working with this, like many of the steps in this process, so we'll see how it goes. I've heard it's pretty messy. Right, first strip of foam applied. We'll see how this goes. Oh yeah, look at that. No. It wants to go everywhere. Okay, so then we know that. So that turned out to be trickier than expected. I guess this foam takes a minute to dry. Actually, it takes 60 to 80 minutes. So we're putting these planks to support it for the time being.
It goes down your strategy here.
It's like baking a cake. The XPS is in place. It's once again not winning any beauty awards, but I think those are they're gonna sit in place and not get shaken off. And the next step is gonna be to put the Armaflex in and cover all of the pieces of metal here. Luckily, it's really soft and nice and self-adhesive, so it'll be easy to cover everything up, and then insulation will be finished. And we're gonna start feeling like we're actually building a van, which is nice. Yay!
Okay. It's time.
Hold on.
We're gonna put Armaflex.
Yeah, this is the 9mm Armaflex that we bought for the ceiling in the car, roof insulation. So here we got the 19mm Armaflex that we're gonna use for the walls. To get nice and toasty. So the reason we're using 9mm in the ceiling is to save height, but here on the side of the walls it's not as important.
But since we're gonna sleep on this side and Jakob is tall, I think we're gonna put 9 here, right?
Yeah, that makes total sense. Making a little patch.
Yeah. So if you are a perfectionist, you should probably not watch right now.
So the idea here is to just get rid of any bare metal where condensation can build, like this part right here.
It's a nasty one.
As you may have noticed, we're not filling up the beams with the expanding foam. There's kind of differing opinions here. The idea is that moisture will build up inside the beams anyways, and that will create rust, etc. So you want to fill them, but then I've also seen people fill the beams with expanding foam too much and actually gotten like severe damages to the metal. We're choosing not to do it because our reasoning is that any water buildup in there will either evaporate or enough of it will actually pour out, because there's channels from the beams to some exit holes at the bottom. So we're just gonna cover all the bare metal on the inside and leave the beams alone.
Another hole?
Yeah, so we got a gift in the mail from our friends at vanbob.com. It's a really cool little site with a bunch of great stuff for vans and van builds, conversions and whatever. They have all the little nifty products that you need, and more of that later. Today we're actually putting in these little vents, air intake for the back. We have put ventilation in the roof. We need air to come in somewhere, and we decided to put it here in the back because it'll be close to where we're sleeping, and that way we'll ensure good air exchange while sleeping, which is nice. So another hole has been made in the van. Made another guide to make sure I don't cut it too big, because you want to save some space for the screws, obviously. And then some mosquito net. It's nice to have during the Scandinavian summers. They get in everywhere, so yeah, much recommended. Now we're just waiting for the hammerite to dry, and then we're gonna screw this in place, and that's gonna be the end result. Not bad.
Not bad.
So what, have we been insulating for what, 3 or 4 days now?
Insulation is almost done. I feel like I've been saying and thinking that for 4 days. And we're not done. We still have the doors left. Yeah, that's it.
All right, week 1 wrap up.
Yeah.
So how's it feel to be finally underway with this project?
So nice.
So damn nice.
So nice.
So yeah, well,
what have we done?
we have, we've gotten off to a great start, I think. We've done all that kind of groundwork you have to get finished before you actually start building your van. So we've insulated the floor, insulated the walls, the ceiling, made sure everything's nice and covered in insulation material, Armaflex, XPS, sleeping mats, everything nice and soft and warm.
Ventilation is in?
Yes, we put in the roof vents from Dometic, and our little air intake here from VanBob, thank you. And yeah, shore power intake. We prepared a little bit for electricity.
Mounted the solar panel.
Got solar panel mounted up, and
done quite a lot.
That's pretty good, I think. Yeah. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and keep following us for more. We're gonna try to drop one of these every week until the van is finished. Next episode's gonna be all about electricity.
More preparing, I think.
A little more preparation, getting the wiring in for all our electrical devices, maybe mounting the diesel heater. We'll see about that.
Kind of scared about that one.
Putting up some interior wood structure to mount paneling later.
Maybe build the sidewall to the driver's cabin.
The divider.
The divider. The driver's divider.
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, next week's gonna be another action-packed week. And then hopefully in about a week we'll start making it look like a place you want to live in.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Hit subscribe and see you next week.
Boom bam. Snyggt.
En puss också.
First van kiss. No, it's not true. That is not true.